All right, it is 3, so we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dory Sukap, founder of Inspiration Management, and with me today is my very special guest, Ken Jorgensen. He is the director with Car Healthcare. They are a nationwide leading group that provide commercial real estate services for healthcare tenants and buyers, like a lot of our audience actually. So we first met actually the Car Group Healthcare at one of the events, and I was so intrigued with what they do that I'm like, okay, they need to be a good partner for us, because there's definitely some people that are always asking us to find space and find the right commercial real estate for them. So we always refer everybody to Car. So needless to say, there are people that we can definitely trust. So today we are going to discuss real estate and financial strategies regarding your business. It's been rough for all of us. We're all going through some difficult situations right now. It's business unusual rather than business as usual. And you may be feeling that you're in the boat and you're in the middle of this storm with a tiny boat and you're just trying to manage. But you know what the good news is that you're going to find calm water again, and you're going to soar like never before. And as soon as this coronavirus started, I decided to make a difference and launch all these different webinars that we're doing to help you manage the disruption. So we started our first one a few weeks ago. And if you want to watch all the webinars that we've been doing to combat that coronavirus disruption and to help you manage that disruption better, you really need to go and check out all the different webinar series that we have been putting on to really help you navigate through this whole process. And just to give you a brief little overview of what we have coming up next, because those are events that you should not miss. The one today is going to be great, but then we also have a few more coming. For example, next week, I have one with Skin Perfect University. We're going to talk about how to maximize revenue with the aesthetic department. And then we have another one. I'm most proud of that one. I actually created a brand new system called the We Dare system, and it teaches people how to do consultations online. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from one of our mastermind members, Denise. She owns a couple of locations in New York, and her team started doing the We Dare system. And they had 5 consultations scheduled today, and 4 of the 5 purchased things from them. So it's an amazing system. You definitely want to join us for that one. And then the third one is about how to do webinars. I found that when we're coaching with our mastermind groups, right now is a very important time to really show your positioning. So what we decided to do is create a webinar to teach you how to do webinars so you can generate leads and improve your positioning. So if you want to check all those out, we launched a brand new association called Global Med-Spa Association.com. It's a nonprofit, so you can go to that page and you'll be able to see all the webinars. And before I get started, there's just one more very exciting thing that we're doing, and that's a book gathering with Dory. As you know, I just published a brand new book called How to Make Millions with Your Medical Spa. And I decided to do a gathering to discuss the book. We could all use some positivity right now. And I decided to do this. So we came up with the dates. You can go to the Inspiration Management Facebook page and you'll see the event. And what I'm going to do is have tea in the afternoon with you. We're going to do it every Friday at 2 o'clock. We can have some tea and cookies, and we'll discuss the content of the book. There's 4 parts to the book, so we're going to discuss one part each week. So if you guys want to read the first part, the second, and the third, and then you can come and get to speak to the author, and I can answer any questions. So we're super excited about all these things that we're providing you. And we wish that all of you would be part of it and continue to learn and grow your business. So those are the announcements I have. Ken, again, welcome. It's so good to have you join us. I'm going to have you start by telling everybody a little bit about your career with Car and how you really help people.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for the invite, Dory. As she mentioned, my name is Ken Jorgensen. I am with Carr Healthcare Realty. We are a very niche and narrow company. We're actually the nation's largest healthcare tenant buyer firm that's out there, and that's a little bit of a mouthful. But what that means is all we do is help healthcare practices, med spas, dental offices, optometrists, anybody in the healthcare space. We help them with their real estate. So when it comes to leasing or purchasing, starting up or relocating, they might be in a lease and they're wondering if it's time to buy a piece of dirt and build a building, or anything related to real estate, we help healthcare practices with. We've been around for, I think, 11 or 12 years now. We actually started, it's kind of funny, we're talking about what to do right now in this current season. Because the last time we all found ourselves in this situation with a kind of an unstable market was 08, 07, 08, 09. And that's actually when we started as a company. So when everybody was kind of getting out of commercial real estate, we thought, no, there's a real need here in the market. Healthcare practices typically were going unrepresented. A lot of doctors we were hearing were going and trying to do their own negotiations or calling the landlords on their own, one property at a time. And so we thought this is a place where we could maybe help make an impact and really help those who are helping other people. So it's been a fun ride. I've been here for about 5 years, a little over 5 or 6 years, 5.5 years. And it's been a really fun ride. So I'm over here in Nashville. I was just down the street from you, Dory, in Florida for a number of years, but recently moved up here to Nashville. But we have brokers and agents coast to coast. So glad to be here.
Well, welcome. It's great to have you. And those of you who don't know me, we have some visitors with us. Actually, we have people from all over the world actually joining us on these webinars. We've been averaging between 400, 500. We've maxed out our webinar capability several times. So I'm truly honored that so many people are joining us and learning from this. In case you don't know who I am, I have Inspiration Management. I founded it about 19 years ago. And our whole purpose is to help business professionals, like what Ken just named, a lot of doctors and entrepreneurs, structure their business, implement successful business models, and experience profitability and success with their business. So I am an author, I'm a speaker. I'm usually speaking all over with conferences, medical spa and spa conferences to help people. So to learn more about us, you can go to inspirationmanagement.com and learn more. But let's dive right in, Ken. The reason I wanted to invite you and speak with everyone and give your expertise is because a lot of people are definitely experiencing some, again, lower roughness in the water. So we get questions a lot of times with people, like they don't know what to do with all the bills, mortgages or rent, things like that. What do I do with my lease equipment loans? How do I generate more revenue now? How can I handle my financials? So what I would like us to do today is discuss some of these challenges and be able to provide some answers and some guidelines to our community so they can benefit from our time together today. So as far as disruptions, we're probably all going through the same thing, right? We have a team, we have payroll, we have supplies, we have leases, mortgages, other expenses. There's just all kinds of things. And I know that you want to talk about some of your area of expertise and things, and you like to start by telling people, how do they see things?
Yeah.
Through what filters do they see things? So why don't we start with that and then we'll go right in.
Yeah, so there, that's a great starting point in terms of how the glasses you're wearing, the lens you are looking at what's going on in the world. The lenses you have in front of your eyes are really going to dictate what happens. You know, there's all kinds of material out there about this thing called confirmation bias. I was down, my brother and his kids, I have 4 little kids. My brother has 3 kids, he and his wife, and we were in Birmingham with them just a few weeks ago. They just got a brand new puppy. And it was a small little puppy, and kids were having all kinds of fun with them. And it's crazy. What's funny to me was watching some of the kids who were literally 20, 30, 40 times bigger than this little puppy who's going around, right? And yet they're afraid of the puppy. Like the bark that was scaring them because of what they thought was a dangerous situation. It was something that they hadn't gone through before. They might not have seen. And so my brother and I were laughing about that. And in a lot of ways, there are some similarities here that the bark may be a lot bigger than the bite. When you have kind of a framework to go through this this season when we sat down and talked to the kids and said, hey, you don't have to be afraid of Penny. Penny's this small little fluffy dog. She just wants to play. That bark or that licking is not there to hurt you. That's how they play. When they understood that, it became a much more enjoyable and positive situation for them. And I think a lot of our people right now, a lot of our clients across the country are calling our agents and brokers and saying, is the sky falling? What's going on? Should I be moving forward with this lease or this purchase? Or I'm in the middle of a lease. What can I do? I feel like the world is caving in. And the truth of the matter is there's a lot of good news out there, right? So 3-4 weeks ago, this caught us all off guard. But what I will say is seeing what the models are showing right now and what the pent up demand that's going to be going on with once the economy starts to turn back on, I think that the bark in this situation is going to be way worse than the actual bite. And so I am excited about that, to be able to kind of walk through some of what I see from the real estate side. But so much of that has to do with kind of the lens through which what are you believing and thinking is going to happen, because where you let your mind go is where your business is going to go.
Right. So there's a lot of different things that they're going through right now. We have some people probably with us who either own their building. We have some people that are leasing, and then we have some people that are probably in the middle of a negotiation. As a matter of fact, one of our mastermind group members, she's in Canada, and she's like right in the middle of actually her build out. I have another client in Utah, Shelby, and she's going through again the same thing. So there's like so much uncertainty right now of what to do. So what should they do? Where do they go from there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what I will say is on this slide, you're going to see even as of 3 or 4 weeks ago, real estate was at an all-time high in almost every market across the country. So landlords were the most aggressive they've been. And I was negotiating for clients. We had all of our agents negotiating with sellers and with landlords. And so real estate was at an all-time high, even as of just a month or two ago. So what's exciting now is the tide is going to be turning. Even if the economy comes roaring back, you have this window of opportunity here where landlords are going to be a little bit more nervous about their portfolio and offering better terms or deals or opportunities. I think we have a lot of tenants that are in the middle of build outs and they're nervous as well. The good thing is typically it's not a 2-week build out, right? It takes months and months. Right. And so by the time you should be out, you should be ready to open up. Hopefully we're on the tail end of this. Now, what I will say, what we've been telling most of our clients is, number one, you should be talking to your insurance provider, right? So if you're in the middle of a lease, if you are in the middle of a build out, or if you own a building, most insurance policies have some kind of business interruption clause. And so number one, talk to your insurance provider.
Actually, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? I just did a webinar last week with an insurance gentleman, an expert. His name is Ed Kuhn, and they can find that webinar. We actually went through the entire process of ideas and strategies that they can deal with regarding their insurance company. So you might want to go and watch that webinar. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. See, we're on the right track, doing all the right things.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the best places to start. The second I would say is talk to your lender. We'll kind of talk about some of that, but almost every major healthcare lender, all of the major banks, and the vast majority of the local credit unions and banks as well all have COVID-19 relief programs going on. So whether it's deferring payments for 2 months or 3 months or 5 months, whatever it is, they all have opportunities for you to provide a little relief. And then the third is talking to your landlord. So number one, insurance. Number two, your lender, and then talking with your landlord. So I've heard it said, real estate's all about location, 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 right? I think right now, I read something earlier today where right now the most important thing in real estate is communication, communication, communication. So reach out to your landlord, have the conversation, have the dialogue, let them know where you're at, be honest with them. If you're able to pay and you're providing essential services, or you have whatever, then don't take deferment if you don't need it. But if you do, you be honest and be real with them. And in the vast majority of the cases we've seen, you're going to get the relief and the help you need. Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. So let's start if they were an owner. So let's say I have a mortgage or I own the building. What are some of my options there?
So if you own the building, the place, obviously you don't have a landlord you can call. So that's going to be a call to your lender. You want to call your bank and find out what programs they have to offer. If they're offering, we've heard anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 months at this point of deferment. Obviously, everybody's kind of heard a lot about the PPP program and some of these other stimulus relief programs. So what we're telling our clients is make sure you're talking with your bank and your CPA. CPA is going to be able to know out with your tax, your entity setup, what is best for you. If you should take the short-term loan, if you should look at the forgivable loan option, if you should look at what the SBA products are. And so be talking to your lender and your CPA about that. And on the, we've had a lot of, we've even had folks reach out to us and say, well, what about, like, if I can't work, am I still paying HOA fees, and am I still paying the utilities and all that kind of stuff? And unfortunately, there's no across the board answer coast to coast. So you just need to have those conversations with the people in the people you're paying the bills to. You need to just pick up the phone and call, because chances are they've already have a COVID program in place. And again, if you own your building, make sure you're talking to your insurance provider, because in a lot of cases that insurance can kick in and help pay those bills while you may not be generating the regular income you would be.
Yes. So one thing I mentioned also before, especially to our mastermind group members and other members that we have, it's so important to structure your business properly to begin with, especially those of you who are just now going into business. I get asked the question all the time, well, how much in reserve money should I have? Because frankly, if you can't at least float with all your responsibilities for 3 to 4 months, well, that tells me that your business was not healthy to begin with. So if you don't have the proper structure in your business and you don't at least have that kind of reserve, well, that tells me maybe your pricing is wrong, your profit margins are not where they need to be, maybe your marketing efforts are not strong enough to generate leads. So if you have a good business, you should be navigating through this really without a lot of pain. But those things that Ken and I are sharing with you, you can always ask. You should always have great relationships with other businesses that you do business with, like your banker. Like when I walk into my bank, they all know me by name. So you have to know those people and go to the right person at the bank and negotiate all these things that Ken is talking about. But now is also the time to plan your recovery and have a strong business coming out of this. It's funny, Ken was mentioning that car started in the middle of the crisis. Well, I truly believe like whenever we have a crisis, there are opportunities for every single person to shine. So I don't want you to think that, oh, things are bad, I'm not making any money or this and that. Well, there are opportunities. So don't be left in that darkness. I want you to come out into the light and start asking for things that you want and start planning your recovery.
For sure. And the other thing that I would say before we move off this purchase is there has never been a time where we've had more access to cheap money across the entire across the entire country. And so you need to be looking at all your loans, whether it's real estate or you have equipment, or you have startup loans, or you have whatever. Be looking at all that, because right now it's a fantastic time to be shoring up as much as you can and helping your cash flow position.
Yeah, and refinance. I mean, this would be such a great opportunity for all the equipment that they're leasing, or especially, I mean, all these lasers are so expensive. So it would make a lot of sense to really reconsider all this. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about the tenant scan. What would a tenant do?
Yeah, absolutely. So with a tenant, you're in a bit of a different situation because you have a landlord. So you're not going to be talking with a mortgage lender. You should still be talking to your practice lender, right? The person you got some business loans with. But if you're a tenant, every situation is really different. So we have to look at where you're at in the term of that lease. So if you just started a new lease, let's say you're in a 5 or a 10-year lease, and you just started 6 months ago, call your landlord, have that conversation. We've had some calls from clients that have said, can you call them and all that? We'll be happy to reach out, but the most dramatic impact is going to be when the landlord has the contact and the discussion with you. That makes it personal. They know what's going on. They feel connected to you. And so we would say, if you're at the start of that brand new lease, you need to reach out to your landlord and see what kind of relief they can offer. You can be honest with them, let them know where you're at, how this is affecting your business. And again, in most cases, you're gonna find some mercy there. In regards to the people that are on this call that have a lease that might be within a year or two of renewing. So let's say you opened a location 2 or 3 years ago and you're on a 5-year lease, or 7 or 8 years ago and you're on a 10-year lease. Now you're getting close to that lease renewal time. This is a prime point in time for you to be talking about the lease renewal with your landlord. Because if you think about it, the landlord is looking at their entire shopping center or their entire medical office building or whatever, wherever you're at. And they might have 10 or 20 or 50 different tenants. And a lot of them are struggling right now, right? Some are doing great, but some are struggling and they're closing up, or they're saying, I can't pay anymore. I'm going to close my business, or I'm going to vacate and I'm going to work at home now, or whatever. And so landlords are going to be seeing, in a lot of cases, the need to stretch further to retain good clients. Now, the medical sector, the healthcare sector, makes up the most stable tenant that a landlord can look at. You're actually called a portfolio stabilizer, right? Because you might have 2 or 3. A landlord might have 2 or 3 restaurants and a nail salon and a couple of different retail options and 1 or 2 healthcare. Well, the healthcare tenants are going to be the ones that are the most stable out of that entire lineup of tenants. And so if your posture is right and your strategy is right in the negotiation, you're going to see that landlords want to stretch further for you to make the deal happen and to get to retain you as a long-term tenant. Mm-hmm. So what you should do if you're in that situation is reach out in whatever your market whatever your market is. You should reach out to the agent in that market and say, hey, I'm about a year or maybe 2 years out from my lease becoming up. When should we be having this conversation? You don't want to wait until a month before your lease is up. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the landlord at that point knows you can't move. You can't relocate a med spa, right, in 1 month. You need 6 months or 12 months of time. And so when we go to the landlord and say, hey, Mr. Landlord, we represent so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so. They've been a tenant of yours for the last 5 or 10 years faithfully. They've paid rent. They've been good. And right now they've hired us to evaluate their options in the market. One of those is staying put, but we are going to be talking to a couple of other landlords. When we kind of turn the negotiation table, it puts you in the driver's seat as the practice owner, and you see that these landlords start to get much more aggressive. So if you're in that window where it's time to renew, you're in a fantastic position because right now they're going to stretch a lot further for you.
Yeah, you're going to be able to leverage a lot more.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now, like you said, because I mean, some of us are landlords ourselves. Like I have few pieces of real estate, and you start thinking, you know, do you want to lose them or do you want to work with them and have that nice, stable renter that you have? So it's in their best interest to keep you. So they want to please you. So now is the time to really negotiate. And you know, though, Ken, that's probably one of the biggest problems I see is a lot of people are not very good negotiators. And that's why I think it's important to have someone like you, so you guys know exactly how to negotiate and get the best deal. And a lot of people don't. Like I have so many like brand new clients when they first come to us and they tell me, oh, we're trying to negotiate this or do this. This is how much they want. And some of these prices that I hear, just like, are you kidding me? No, not in a million years are you going to pay that. And that's really what I send them to you, because between securing the space, making sure it's a good space, and having someone that could really negotiate on your behalf and let them be the bad guy instead of you. And that way it keeps that nice relationship between you and the actual landlord, because you're out of it. You have somebody else negotiating for you. It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And to that point, I mean, it might help to take a quick step back and just let you know, kind of, that's exactly why our company got started. Our founder, his name is Colin Carr. He was working in one of the big real estate firms that represented landlords, and also had some tenants. So they would do kind of both sides of the transaction. And when he was working and representing landlords, he would get a call. Our figures show about 70 or 80% of healthcare practices do their own negotiation and representation. So what that means is the doctor is driving around town and they see a sign on the side of a building and they say, hey, that building looks nice. I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and start talking. Well, what they don't realize is the number that they are calling is the listing agent for the landlord. So their fiduciary is to the landlord to get the highest price possible, to give out the least amount of concessions possible. And so Colin was one of those. Colin Carr, our founder, was one of those landlord reps for a while. And what he kept seeing is he'd get a call, and his name was on the side of the building. He'd get a call from a doctor, and he would hang up. He'd get the info, and then he'd hang up, and he would call the asset manager or his client, the landlord, and he'd say, okay, Dr. So-and-so called and they want to open up. Where do you want to put them on a rate? Where do you want to put them in terms of a tenant improvement allowance, or do you want to offer them any free rent? And the landlords always said over and over and over, they asked him two questions. Number one, did you say that it's a doctor? Right? Because landlords are hearing doctor and they're seeing dollars.
Yeah, assume right away they want to make money. Yeah.
Exactly. And so they can pay more than the average person. And then number two, he said, did the doctor call you? The landlords would say, did the doctor call you directly or did they have an agent? And Colin would say, no, the doctor just called me off the sign. And so they'd put him at this rate when all the other tenants were right here. Right. And so what he kept seeing over and over and over for a year that he was when he first got into it, he realized this is a segment that is being taken advantage of over and over and over, and nobody's representing them, and they're out doing their own deals. So to your point, that's exactly how we got started and why we got started, because Colin said, this is a segment that really is underrepresented and needs some help and some guidance.
Yeah.
And so we step in and do exactly that. We'll take a client. I was actually working with one of your clients recently where they were like, I want this one location, right? And I want this one space. And we say, that's great, but we need to go find 2 or 3 others just so that we can leverage having options in the market. And so when we put a comparison together, here's what landlord A is offering and B and C, you might find, wait a second, landlord C is being way more aggressive. It can be the difference of $200,000 or $300,000, right? Just by shopping the entire market and not being just sold on one. So,
And
um,
and that's what they should do now, not so much to move, but again to gain that leverage. So
exactly.
if the rate right now is much lower, and then you call up your landlord or the mortgage company, either way, especially if it's a landlord, you say, well, the rates now are such and such. And to your points, if especially if their lease is up for renewal, now is the time to renegotiate. But even if it's not really up for renewal, don't you think there are ways right now that they can reach out and say, hey, this is where we are right now, here's what I can do, and present? What I want to find out from you though, Ken, is what's a reasonable thing to really ask a landlord? Like, what should I, thank God I own my building, so I don't have to worry about that aspect. But what if I did not own it? Then I can go and say what? Like, give me 2 months, 3 months? What should I ask for?
So that's a great question, and every situation is different. I hate that I can't just give you a simple answer, but what we're hearing, the landlords are going to come back to you first, and if let's say you call up and said, "Hey, I'm having issues." The first question they're going to ask is, "Okay, do you have business insurance, business interruption insurance?" Because the reason for that insurance policy is so that you can pay all the bills as normal when your business is interrupted by something like this. So that's number one. And then number two, have you talked to your lenders? Have you talked to those that you're paying? They're going to want to make sure that you've kind of gone down the road of those first two steps first before they kind of give their solution. Now, again, what we're seeing is a lot of landlords are offering anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 months of deferred rent. Now, a lot of them are not saying, "Hey, I'll give you 4 months right now." Right? They might go month to month or see how long this lasts. I don't think anybody knows exactly how long. A lot of the models look like it might even be shorter than initially anticipated, which is great news. But what you should do is go be honest with your landlord, let them know where you're at. And again, this is not going to be just free rent. This is rent abatement. So let's say you have 2.5 years left on your lease. If they give you 3 months of free rent, that just means that 2.5 years is going to start again in 3 months from now. So it's just tacking on some time at the end there. And some are still, just so you know, some are still charging the CAM charges or the triple net charges, where you have to pay the property taxes and insurance and all that kind of stuff. Some are waiving it all. So every landlord, every situation is different. And so our suggestion would be talking with the broker, the agent in your market, because they can take a look at your lease. There are actually some leases that have some clauses. Not most of them are more favorable to the landlord, but there are some leases that have some clauses that where rent is reduced by 50% or rent is reduced drastically. So again, every situation is different, and you want to just have somebody taking a look and reviewing that. And those are things, again, that we do for Inspiration clients. We do that at no charge because of our relationship. And so we'd be happy to take a look at that lease and give you some specific guidance in terms of your situation.
Well, I think this is like when we first started doing this, managing this disruption. I mean, those are some of the first things that we talked about, is that you assess where you are right now financially. See how long can you float in paying your bills. And even if you can float 3-4 months, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't hurt to still do these negotiations to give you even a stronger buffer. So you can invest the rest of the money into your relaunch, like really relaunch big and spend some money on marketing, relaunching. So it'll be good to do this exercise no matter what. So if you are part of our community, I would definitely encourage you to send Ken or the rest of their team, because they have representation all over the US and actually international countries too, don't you?
We're mainly coast to coast here in the US right now. We've done some in Puerto Rico as well, but mainly the US right now.
Okay, so if you want to do that, it'll probably be a very good move for you to see what kind of negotiation you can actually do. And so we talked a little bit about renewal, but let's dive into it a little bit more, because I think that's a bigger negotiation power that you have. if you have renewal right now, I feel that you can really come out smelling like a rose if you play your cards right.
Absolutely. So to that point, if you kind of put the landlord thinking cap on, and you look at it from the way they're looking at it, if you just signed a lease 2 years ago and you have a 10-year lease, chances are you may find your landlord being open to giving you some, a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months of rent abatement. You're likely not going to get that lease renegotiated unless you can show that over the course of 6 months or a year, that what's going on in the economy is going to drastically affect your business in 2021, right? So if you're early on in that lease, my suggestion is to have the conversation and see if you can get a month or two or a few months of rent abatement. But in terms of lease renewals, if you're within a couple years of your lease being up for renewal, that's really where you can make a dramatic impact on your rent. So to that point, like I just mentioned, when we pick up a new client, we're out driving. What we would typically do is have kind of the call with the client, say, what exactly are you looking for? What are the parameters? Where do you want to be? All that kind of stuff. And then we're going to go show that client the entire market, 7, 8, 9 properties. We're going to narrow down from 30 or 40 down to the top 7 or 8 or 9, go tour. And then we always want to be negotiating with 3 or 4 at the same time, because when you negotiate simultaneously with multiple landlords, they're all going to be fighting harder for your business. So again, you are a very attractive tenant for a landlord to pick up. And so as long as the table is set right with the landlord, and they know that they're fighting and they're up against a couple of other options, they're going to get more aggressive. Everything's negotiable. So not only the rate, but the annual escalations and the tenant improvement allowance, the money that the landlord's going to give you to build out your space, how much free rent they're going to give you, not only for the build out time, but maybe when you open up, do I get 2 or 3 months of free rent where I don't have to pay?
Yes, and I'm amazed, Ken, how many people don't actually negotiate that. Like I heard some terrible stories where they did not get anything. And it's sad for me that they did not get the best deal possible for their money, their investment.
We've had clients that have called us saying, can you help me? And we say, okay, tell us your scenario. And they said, we just signed our lease last week. And we're like, well, no, then unfortunately, we can't help all that much. And we're like, well, but tell us the terms. And they're like, well, I start paying rent next week. And I'm like, what? You're not going to be open for like 7 months.
Yeah, the toothpaste is out of the tube.
Right, exactly. It's kind of late at this point. So no, but when in our lease renewals, we do these exactly like we would a new lease or a renewal. So we would take a look at your current lease, and then we're going to take a look at a few other properties in the market. So let's say you don't want to move more than a mile away. That's fine. We know you don't want to move at all, but we're going to find 2 or 3 other landlords and negotiate with them, get the terms that they're willing to do, and then we go to your landlord and say, hey, we've been hired by this med spa to evaluate the market. And so we have these other 2 landlords who are being very aggressive on their what they're offering. And so if you want to retain this tenant for another 5 or 10 years, you're going to have to get aggressive too, because what typically happens, as you know, every lease clicks up 2, 3, 4% a year. And so after 10 or 15 years, sometimes we get clients that have been in their space for 20 years, and we look at their lease and it's gone up 3 or 4% every year for 20 years. Well, the market has definitely gone up, but the lease is here,
right? And
the market's here, and the landlord's being a nice guy by not raising the rent. I'm going to just keep you here, when they know how much of a delta is there between what they should be paying and what the landlord's getting. And so we come in and try to help reset that and bring that back down to market.
So considering where we are right now, the current situation, and if I'm not, let's say I don't want to move, and my lease maybe renews, let's say in 2 years. So what would be the smartest thing for me to do right now if I don't want to move?
So at this point, you need to gather your lease. and you need to reach out to the car agent in your market, because again, what we'll do is, even if you're 2 years out, so as you know, you've done some ground up projects, right, with clients. And a ground up project, if you want to go find a piece of dirt, and then you have to go through any kind of rezoning, and you have to go through the building permitting and all that, that can take easily 18 months.
Yes.
If not, we've had some that have taken 2 years or longer. So we'll go to your landlord, even if you have 2 years left on your lease, we'll go to your landlord right now and say, now is the time when we need to be renegotiating this lease, because my client is considering their options. They might look at buying a piece of dirt and going ground up. They might look at renewing. They might look at a new lease option. And so that's why we need to negotiate now. And by doing it now, you're in a season where landlords are feeling a little bit more sensitive, and they want to do, they're going to stretch further to keep you. So if you're within a couple of years, now's the best time to reach out and get your lease in the hands of an agent who can do that.
Would you say 2 years would be like the magical number for that? What about if the lease is not ready to renew for more than 2 years? What would be my options then? Do I still have the same pull, you think?
So with the longer term that is left on that lease, the harder it is to renegotiate those terms. Again, if you can prove and show that your business is going to be dramatically impacted long term, not just for the next month or two, but long term, then there may be some opportunities to discuss that with your agent. With, you know, in some cases, we tell our clients they need to be talking with an attorney, definitely with their CPA. And so you kind of have this team of advisors around you giving you some advice and some counsel. If a landlord has 3 or 4 or 5 years left on the lease, there's really no need to get them to renegotiate those terms.
Right.
But
so all they should do at that time is just ask for the leeway to maybe miss 3 payments or 2 payments or whatever.
Yeah, and again, every scenario is unique and different, but they should definitely be having those conversations directly with the landlord. Now, if you're within a couple of years of renewing, of your lease term being up, then don't have any of those conversations with your landlord. You want to first reach out to the agent, because that's going to show the landlord that you're serious about looking at the market.
Yeah,
which is exactly what this slide is kind of going through. Yeah.
And one thing that's very important to tell everybody is that, you know, we're asking them to send you their agreements, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is no fee for you to view that, is there?
It's $350 an hour. Okay. And I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We are, you're like, wait a second, my notes were off. It is, we're paid.
Like, are you throwing me for a loop, Ken?
Yeah. So commercial real estate works just like residential real estate, where the buyer or the tenant never pays for their representation. So we're always paid by the seller or the landlord. It's a set fee that they have. They pay their listing agent, and then we get paid a portion of that. So it doesn't add any money to the deal. It doesn't add any cost to the deal to be represented. And all of our services come at no charge to our clients. So for 12 years, we've helped thousands and thousands of clients save time and money on their negotiations. And it's just like residential, where they don't, you as the practice don't pay anything.
Yeah. So I think this is a perfect time. See, I look at it as a positive right now with the opportunities that they have. There's low money to borrow with low interest rate. There's opportunities to renegotiate leases or ask for a little leeway for a month, 2 months, 3 months. So don't just sit and do nothing. You gotta decide, okay, what is it that you need right now, and actually go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right on. And I think that honestly, the last point on this slide is very relevant, that a lot of people, I think 3 weeks ago, honestly, it's funny because we're looking at this in real time, but 3 weeks ago, it seemed like the entire world was in shock, and everything is crumbling in, and this is going to be crazy. 2 weeks ago, it was like, is this the new normal? And then this week, I've had a number of conversations with clients and with lenders and people that are sitting there saying, I'm having more, I'm talking to general contractors and other people that are saying, honestly, I'm busier right now than I've been in the last 2 or 3 months, because just like Warren Buffett always says, when everybody else is getting out, that's your time to get in.
Right.
And so there's going to be a great opportunity for the people that realize that there are some benefits to be had, and if I'm smart and I have the right strategy and approach, where I am 12 months from now can be much better than where I'm at today.
Right. Now we have a lot of people that are actually in the middle of their like planning process. Like we have business plans going on. People had all kinds of ways they want to open, like in 6 months or 9 months. And what's a word of encouragement for these kind of folks to just keep moving, because this is temporary?
Yeah.
So are you seeing some people still moving ahead with their things, their leases or their purchases?
Yeah, absolutely. So our agents across the country are still wrapping up deals every day. And clients are still moving forward, and those that are moving forward, in a lot of cases, it all depends on where you're at. If you just signed your lease, then you may go to your landlord that's a brand new relationship and see if you can get an additional month or 2 or 3 of free rent period.
Yeah. I think I think that's a great advice for the people that are not even open yet. They're in the middle of build out. Now is the time to really do that.
Yeah, because the truth is, a lot of people have been, even if your contractor can still work, it doesn't mean that all the subs or all the people that are in that line, the distribution centers, the warehouses that have the materials and all that, doesn't mean that they haven't closed up for whatever reason. So I would definitely have that conversation with a client or with the landlord. And the other thing I was going to say is if you are in the middle of negotiation, like let's say you're doing your business plan right now and you're thinking about what your location should be. Should I purchase? Should I lease? Am I getting a good rate on that lease? I would highly suggest you have an agent take a look at that, at the terms that you've negotiated, or at the market, and make sure that there are no other better opportunities out there. Because things have changed even since, the last 30 days.
Yes.
The market is different right now. And so definitely be taking a look at that. But people are moving forward, deals are being had. And what I would suggest and what I would say is, don't look at what life looks like right now in this April 9th or 8th or whatever date it is, time frame. Ask yourself, where do I want to be 12 months from now? When I'm looking at the vision of my practice, right? What does that look like? And where do I want to be in 12 months? And if you wait until everything gets back to the normal world we had before, the opportunities may very much look different. So landlords are my personal feel, and I'm not an economist, but my personal feel is there's going to be a huge pent up demand for a lot of goods and services and construction projects and all that. And so by waiting even 2, 3, 4 months, when life kind of gets back to normal, you may find yourself in a position where you're vying for the same construction crews and the same equipment, all of that everybody else is now too. And so you could put yourself in a better position by keeping your head down and keep moving forward, and see obviously if you can get a better deal, but do that with the right strategy and approach. Good
advice. So a couple of tips I want to give for financial help. We did another webinar actually with 2 attorneys where we went over all the guidelines for the team, all the employees and the payroll. So you might want to go and watch that webinar also. You'll find it on globalmedspa.com. And watch that, because there are several things that you can do to help you with your payroll or the decisions that you make, whether you're going to lay people off, whether you're going to furlough the team. And especially now with some of the applications, even though they're available, like you go to a bank and they tell you, no, it's not available yet. So you really need to take that financial assessment and see exactly what you need to do right now. and start all these loan applications. You have money that's free to be given to you right now. So I would highly recommend you try to do all the due diligence that you need, whether you have your accountant apply for you or your office manager or whoever, but you definitely need to do these things. We talked about renegotiating the leases and the loans. You should do the same thing with all your equipment. So your leases for all your lasers, anything that you have going on, I would definitely try to renegotiate that as well. And then we mentioned the insurance also, so you can go and watch that webinar to gain some value from that. But two very important financial tools that you really need to be focusing on right now. One is creating a new budget for your business, so you know what you have coming in and what you have going out, so you can have good financial health, one that makes sense. You know what you need to do to make certain adjustments. And then the other one is your compensation model. We actually had a webinar with our mastermind groups today. We did two webinars today. One was to teach them how to upgrade more treatments and recommend more products, and one on the compensation model. Now is the time to really assess every aspect of your business, not only financially, but from your operational standpoint, from sales models, from marketing models, all those things you really should assess. And now is the time to make the modifications needed. So when you do relaunch, you're relaunching with your business with the right foundation and the right systems and structures in place. So I don't want you to sit back and not be proactive right now. I have to tell you, Ken, I am so proud of our mastermind members. I mean, we're doing 2 and 3 webinars a day with them, and they are all so engaged, and there's on top of it, they're making money already. Actually, I want to go to my next slide because I want to show them how you can actually make money right now. And we literally have a lot of people making money now. And I want to just give people a couple of tips on the program that we're doing right now called Do We Dare, where they're actually doing money online, doing the online consultations. They're selling future treatments, and they're also making home care recommendations. So we came up with this whole platform presentation where they can actually go and do a presentation with their consumers. And we came up with all kinds of themes for it, like do-it-yourself treatments, seasonal skincare, an assessment, a full-blown assessment. So there are opportunities. You just need to think outside the box right now and do it in a way where it is going to be successful. So we've perfected that right now, and everybody is using it, and it's an amazing way. So I don't want you to be sitting thinking, I can't make money right now, because you really can make money right now. The opportunities are there for you. So if you take the time right now to restructure, train the team, change your compensation model, figure out a way how you can make money online right now. Assess your membership. If you don't have a membership program, you need to do that. That's the topic for our mastermind group members next week. We're going to revamp everybody's membership program. So those are the things. Now is the time to perfect your business model. Now is the time. All the times I heard before, oh, I don't have a time for this, Dory. I don't have time for that. Well, now you have the time. So it's a great thing for you to really look at everything you're doing, your branding, your positioning, all these things, and then tap into tools that you have at your fingertips to perfect your business model so you can come out of this stronger and better than ever before. So it's up to you what you do. So I want to encourage you to come and see me for 2 very important webinars that are coming up to really help you make more money and generate more leads and improve your positioning. Those are 2 webinars that are a must. One of them is the online consultations. I'm going to take what I taught my actual mastermind group, our members, how to do these online consultations where they're generating thousands of dollars from it. And then how to actually host a webinar like this so you can show your community who you are and how you can help them. So those are things that we've been working on with our members that I want to take some of this information and actually share it with the entire community to really help them generate more income and improve their positioning and generate leads. So I'm so excited about this. our members are super excited about it, and it'll definitely make a big difference in your current situation. So the online consultation is next week, and the hosting the webinars is the week after. But if you go to globalmedspa.com, you'll be able to see all the dates and all the webinars that we have. And I know we have a lot of doctors on, Ken, and this is probably one of my most proud programs that we offer, and that's helping people with their positioning. Just imagine if everybody had a book right now, you could do the book gathering like I'm doing with my book. And that's what some of our members are also going to be doing, is talking about the book and be able to, again, help the community with their knowledge and their expertise. And now is the time to do that. Now is the time to really let your voice out and let people know who you really are and how you can impact the community. So those are the things that I'm sorry, yeah, one more. These are the things that we've been working on, and I want to share them with everybody to really help the entire industry as a whole.
I couldn't agree more on the I'm excited you're doing the hosting the webinar session, because I don't think there's been a time in history when we've had more of an opportunity with everybody in their homes consuming content at this level. And so I'm 100% on board with figuring out how you can provide some ideas and some resources and networking and connecting with. I think we're seeing it across all kinds of different sectors, from our neighborhood Facebook page to the organizations and the sports and the parenting and schools and business, and everybody's doing these Zoom meetings and these webinars and whatnot. And the ones that know how to do it well are engaging their customer base and client base and their members for long-term connection. And I think that's a great tool.
Yeah. Thank you. And they appreciate it so much. Like, I know our members are all so happy about everything we're providing them. I mean, I had one client sent me flowers last weekend. I'm like, I'm in love with you guys. You make me so happy. It's so nice to be, again, be that voice for the industry to really help everyone come out of this and come out stronger than ever.
Did you Clorox the vase?
It's funny because, I live in a condo on the beach, and I get a phone call. It's like Saturday morning at like 9 o'clock, and I'm enjoying my Saturday. I have my laptop. I'm sitting in my bed with all my books, and the phone rings. I'm like, hello? She's like, yeah, I have some flowers for you downstairs. I'm like, but I'm in my pajamas. Can you just leave them there?
I'll come get them.
So she just kept them there, and I went downstairs and picked them up later. But isn't that just so thoughtful? That's just so sweet. Yeah, and it makes you feel like you're definitely doing the right thing. But I'm telling you, the best advice I can give everybody is what Ken was saying. Now is the time to really communicate and put your voice out there for what you stand for, what you believe in, how you can help people, how you can positively impact the community. Now is the time to really stand up.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it, you're missing out. So so we have a few questions coming in here. So do you want to go over this? We kind of touched on it a little.
Yeah, we kind of touched on most of this. And so I would say if we've got some questions, let's do some Q&A.
Yeah. Okay. So I have Dr. Lehman here, is actually one of our mastermind members, and he's asking, are you aware of any programs to purchase real estate to have been rolled out for the COVID-19? I don't know. I think what he means is are there some special real estate offers right now because of the COVID-19?
I don't think there are any special offers. I think every bank is different. I think rates are at an all-time low. It's not specific to healthcare or anything like that, but mortgage rates and refinance options have never been lower. So I would definitely say that is because of COVID-19, but I don't know that anything specific to tenants or businesses looking at their mortgage. Now, obviously the PPP has some, the forgivable note. You can use some of that loan that can be forgiven for payroll and for rent or mortgage or whatever. And I'm not a CPA, not giving advice, but definitely talk to your CPA about that.
Okay, so we have another question here. This is from Terry, and she's saying, where should she send the lease agreement to?
So on the,
I think I may have I have your contact information here somewhere, but should they send it to like the main office?
You can send it to me, and then if you do, we have the link on here that is the lease upload page. So we've tried to make it easy.
You know what? I'll send it in the post webinar. I don't
Perfect.
think I put it in here because they couldn't click on it, but I'll
Gotcha.
send it in the post webinar.
Yeah, so what we did is we put together a little link where you can go on. We have a secure site where you can upload. Yeah, right there. So we'll send this link out afterwards, and you can put in just a couple bits of info, name and email and phone number, and then you can upload your lease or drag and drop it in there, and then that'll get to the correct broker in your market where they can take a look at it. Again, it's a free lease evaluation, or you should do that, or give you kind of a timeline and a strategy.
Okay, so I have another question here from Alan. So if I do submit my lease, are you sure there is no cost to me?
100%. So we've never charged a client a dime. These are all free. All of our services come at no charge, and so you can send us the lease. We'll get you connected with the agent in your market, and then you can go and start having some of those conversations with whoever your broker is.
Okay, good. So couple more, but we're almost at the hour here. I want to be respectful of your time. I want to remind everybody to go to globalmedspa-association.com and be able to register for all future webinars and see all the ones that we actually recorded. So the next one coming up is the We Dare system, and it's all about how to do consultations online. So remember to go and register for that one. And then if you don't know what to do right now, just like what Ken just said for you, we do something similar. We can offer you a success planning session if you don't know what to do or who to go to or what business strategies you need to have in place right now. You can reserve a success planning session, and then one of my advisors will be happy to get on the phone with you or do a Zoom with you and then be able to help you out with that. So I want to encourage everybody to do that. And then please join me for my book gathering. I think that's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited about it. Ken, you have to make sure to come on. We're going to have
I'll take a look.
People.
Yeah, it'd be great.
It's going to be so much fun to have. So some takeaways to take from this is make sure you do your assessment, see where you are right now financially, see what you need to renegotiate, whether it's with your landlord, your loans, your leases, anything that you have to go on. Make sure you do your budget and then decide what you want to do as a business. What foundation do you need to really improve? What strategies do you want to implement? And really be on top of your business so you can plan your relaunch. So we are happy that you joined us today. Any last words, Ken?
No, I think that although this is a very strange and odd season that we're all living in, I am finding myself that there are going to be some things I'm going to take with me to getting back to normal life. Right, I've been enjoying the family time and being able to read some more and do some things that I couldn't do before. So I think brighter days are ahead for sure, and some great opportunities for our clients.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Ken, and sharing your expertise. I'm sure our community is going to really benefit from what you offer them as far as renegotiating or looking for new spaces. You guys know that you're high on our list, and we definitely appreciate all the help that you offer all of our clients.
Absolutely. Stay healthy.
Yes, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you on our future webinars and for my book gathering events. Until next time, stay safe, God bless, and stay inspired. Bye, Ken. Bye, everyone.
See you, Dory. Bye-bye.
Bye.